Do you struggle being good all day and then blowing it and eating voraciously all afternoon or evening? Maybe you're great for a week, but then you fall off your plan on the weekend. This is an experience I hear from a lot of folks and something I've experienced myself. Hey, I'm body positive health coach Gillian Goerzen, and in this video, I want to help you understand why this might be happening and what you can do about it. Recently, I saw a meme on social media that was ripping off the children's book, The Very Hungry Caterpillar, that really speaks to this. If you've never read the book, I put a link in the description to a really great video of the story because it's adorable. But here's a quick synopsis. In the book, a very hungry caterpillar eats more and more every day. Initially, he eats through one piece of fruit, then two, then three, then four, then five, and then he eats through a cake, ice cream, pickle, cheese, salami, lollipop, cherry pie, sausage, cupcake, and watermelon. And then he gets a tummy ache. And the next day, he eats through a nice big green leaf and he feels much better, and he's not hungry anymore. But now he's not a little caterpillar either. He's a big fat caterpillar. Their words, not mine. He builds a cocoon and then 2 weeks later, he's a butterfly. While there's debate about the potential undercurrent of moralizing of foods the caterpillar eats on the day he gets a tummy ache, and the outcome of this being that he's a big fat caterpillar, I actually really view this book positively. The caterpillar listened to his body. He didn't question his hunger. He ate to his appetite. And he didn't quite nail it, but he self-corrected without judgment the next day, much like we can. He also respected that his body changed with purpose. He was getting ready to become a butterfly. He didn't demonize his body, he respected it. But I digress. Back to the meme. Because folks love their diet culture, someone out there made this book into a diet culture meme. The meme pictured images from the book of all of the things a caterpillar ate that gave him a tummy ache, with the quote, "She ate healthy all day, and then at 10 p.m. she ate through dot dot dot." I could go down a rabbit hole about how our caterpillar in the book was a male and the meme was directed at women, but that's not what we're here to discuss. I want to talk about what this meme points to, something in intuitive eating that we call the restrict binge cycle. When we stop listening to our innate cues and eat less than what our bodies need, our intelligent bodies respond to maintain homeostasis, to basically maintain our body's happy place. Here's what happens inside your body when you're under eating, according to your body's natural innate needs. The first is that the body releases a hormone called ghrelin. You can consider this your hunger hormone. It tells your brain it's time to eat. The more you ignore hunger, the more ghrelin your body will produce, because clearly you're not listening, so the body is going to get louder. Ghrelin will only decrease in response to eating. However, it may continue to stay elevated in response to a continued calorie deficit. So if you're undereating or chronically undereating or dieting, that ghrelin is just going to be higher in general. This elevated level can actually persist to up to a year after dieting ceases. So let that sink in. And then there's more. The second thing that's happening in our bodies is that neuropeptide Y is released in response to the ghrelin. This hormone increases your appetite specifically for carbohydrates. Why specific for carbohydrates? Because your brain's sole fuel source is carbohydrate. And it needs to maintain a minimum of 130 grams per day just to maintain its normal needs. So if you're consuming under this amount, your body perceives this as a stressor and triggers you to resolve this by making you seek out or crave carbohydrates. Similar to ghrelin, the longer you choose to ignore this desire for carbohydrates and food in general, the more cravings will increase to the point where you really just feel out of control, where you just want all the carbs. Neuropeptide Y levels are naturally highest in the morning as your body's way of refilling the liver and muscle glycogen stores after your overnight fast when we're sleeping. When we get the carbohydrates, our body produces more serotonin, that feel-good hormone we produce when we eat carbohydrates, which in turn stops the production of neuropeptide Y and reduces the desire for carbohydrates. So that carb binge you're having every night, it's your body biochemically saying, come on, human, eat. I'm legit starving. But here's the challenge. When we finally do eat, for many folks, it feels a bit out of control. When folks connect with me about coaching around intuitive eating, they'll often share with a lot of guilt and sometimes even shame that they're binging every night. And some even worry they might have an eating disorder. And this is something we absolutely need to address because there's a difference between primal hunger, or what we talk about as primal hunger in intuitive eating, or catch-up eating, and binge eating disorder. And if you're not sure, I've provided a link in the description for a place to get more information about that eating disorder. But for the majority of folks, once we establish a better pattern of eating, the binging decreases significantly and in some cases goes away entirely because the root cause was actually restriction, not an underlying eating disorder. In order to help hit this point home, I want to do a little demonstration. I want you to imagine that I have a straw and I'm going to breathe through the straw. So I'm breathing in and I'm breathing out and I'm going through this little tiny hole, like a little tiny thin straw. And now imagine I was trying to do something physically active, or just imagine over time that that might not actually give you the amount of oxygen that you need. So once I remove the straw, what do I naturally do? I might gasp or breathe really deeply. Now let's connect back to our relationship with food. When we restrict, the body isn't getting its needs met and has all these things that happen inside to make us want to eat. And the result is much like that gasp, that deep breathing that happens after that period of restriction in air. That voracious appetite and seemingly insatiable desire to eat is actually a response to restriction. In the intuitive eating framework, we call this primal hunger. Why? Because it feels primal and it's really ingrained into our body's primal functioning needs to maintain homeostasis. What makes it tricky is that once we allow ourselves to eat, when we're in this underfed state, we often overcompensate for it. It's the same response most folks have when they eliminate a specific food group. When you finally, or a specific food in general, when you finally allow yourself permission to have it, what very often happens is like we eat all of it. So hence that name, the restrict binge cycle. So the take home. Number one, if you're in a pattern of doing what you view as binging in the later part of the day, consider that this might be a response to undereating, both total volume and specific foods or macronutrients, especially carbs. Number two, get compassionate and curious rather than judgmental. If it happens, think, hey, body, thanks for looking out for me. And what did the rest of my day look like? Did I nourish myself well today? And number three, eat as a practice of self-care. Eat within about 1 hour of waking and every 3 to 5 hours after that. I personally have to set alarms on my phone to remind myself because I get distracted and I forget until it's a little bit too late. I get past that point of safe hunger and I get into that kind of primal hunger state. So, do what you need to do to ensure you're eating enough for your body. Over time, as you become reacquainted with your internal signals of hunger and you can respectfully respond to these without those distractions, you may not need reminders or guidelines, but that takes time and practice and attention. So, if you are someone that easily gets distracted, you might always need reminders like I do, and that's okay. Again, the focus is on getting you back into a regular pattern of eating so that the body knows that you're a reliable source of nutrients and calories. So back to that meme. How did I fix it? I actually just altered it to say she didn't eat enough all day. Then at 10 p.m. she ate through ... And at the bottom, I added, and she didn't judge herself. She thanked herself for looking out for her. She stopped when she felt satisfied and got curious about how she could make sure she met her body's needs a little more consistently. It's not as succinct as the original diet culture version, but I think it kind of got my point across. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, you might really enjoy my intuitive eating course. You can learn more in the video description. And if you have any questions or want to connect with me about one-to-one coaching in intuitive eating, send me an email at Gillian with a G at superu.ca. That link's in the description as well. Thanks for watching.